The stars stretched endlessly in all directions as the survey ship Zethkalar moved through the darkness of space. Commander Vexthu stood on the bridge, his forearms crossed behind him as he watched the viewscreen. The Altarian had seen many star systems in his 40 years of service, but this new sector held promise for discovering fresh worlds. "Commander, we are approaching the system designated Sol 3847, announced Plix from her station. The small Kethri scientist barely reached Vexthu's waist, her pale blue skin shimmering under the bridge lights. Her large eyes never left the sensor displays as data streamed across multiple screens. "Begin standard survey procedures," Vexthu ordered. His deep voice carried the authority of countless missions. "I want full planetary scans of all bodies in this system." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. Kervik, the methodical Xenthan analyst, began categorizing stellar data with his usual precision. His silver scales caught the light as he turned between workstations, gathering information from multiple sensors. "Interesting star," Kervik noted, his voice carrying a slight metallic tone. "Yellow dwarf, quite stable. Age approximately 4.5 billion standard years. The system contains 8 major planetary bodies." Plix squeaked with excitement as new readings appeared on her screen. "Commander, the third planet from the star is showing some unusual characteristics. I recommend we focus our detailed scans there." Vexthu moved to stand behind her station. "What kind of characteristics?" "Well, it has liquid water on the surface, which is promising for life, but—" Plix paused, her antenna twitching nervously. "The other readings are quite disturbing." The main viewscreen shifted to display the third planet. It appeared as a blue and white marble hanging in space, beautiful from a distance. But as the sensors gathered more data, the readings became increasingly alarming. "Atmospheric composition is dangerous," Plix reported, her voice growing more concerned. 21% oxygen, Commander. That concentration would ignite most organic compounds on contact." Kervik looked up from his analysis station, confirmed. "Any species from our database would face immediate combustion in that atmosphere." "The oxygen levels are beyond toxic," Vexthu frowned. In all his years of exploration, he had never encountered such a deadly atmospheric mixture. "What else are the sensors detecting?" "Gravitational force is crushing," Plix continued. "Nearly 10 standard units of acceleration. Most galactic species would be flattened under such pressure. Even our reinforced equipment would struggle in those conditions." The data kept flowing, and each new reading made the planet seem more hostile. The electromagnetic readings showed intense solar radiation bombarding the surface. Without thick atmospheric protection, any life would be cooked within minutes. "Weather patterns are violent," Kervik added, studying meteorological data. "Massive storm systems with wind speeds exceeding 200 standard velocity units. Electrical discharges powerful enough to vaporize metal. Precipitation that would dissolve most known materials." Plix gasped as geological scans completed. "Commander, the planet's surface is actively unstable. Tectonic plates constantly shifting and colliding. Volcanic activity across multiple continents. Seismic events that would level our largest cities." Vexthu stared at the beautiful blue world on the screen. It looked peaceful, even inviting, but the data told a different story. This was not a world where life could exist. This was a death trap disguised as paradise. "Temperature variations are extreme," Plix continued reading. "From freezing to boiling across different regions and seasons. No species in our database could survive such temperature swings without extensive protection." "The magnetic field is chaotic," Kervik observed. "It provides some protection from stellar radiation, but the field strength varies dramatically. Any navigation equipment would malfunction in those conditions." Vexthu walked slowly around the bridge, processing the information. Every reading pointed to the same conclusion. This planet was lethal to life as they knew it. Yet something nagged at him about the preliminary scans. "Plix, are you detecting any artificial signals from the surface?" The small scientist adjusted. "Her instruments, yes, Commander. There are primitive radio transmissions coming from multiple locations on the planet. Very basic electromagnetic signals. Probably automated distress beacons, Kervik suggested. Some exploration team must have crashed there. The signals are likely their emergency systems calling for help that will never come. Vexthu nodded. Grimly, it made sense. Some brave explorers had probably attempted to land on this world, not realizing its true nature until too late. Their equipment might still be functioning, sending out desperate calls across space that no one could answer. What is our classification recommendation? He asked his science team. Plix and Kervik exchanged glances before Plix spoke. Based on all environmental factors, this planet rates as Class 13 on the Galactic Danger Scale, Commander. It is the most hostile world we have ever catalogued. Class 13 was reserved for planets so dangerous that they were marked as complete no-fly zones. Worlds where landing would mean certain death, where even orbital approach was considered risky. Only a handful of such worlds existed in the galactic database. Atmospheric toxicity alone would kill most species instantly, Kervik explained. Combined with crushing gravity, radiation bombardment, violent weather, and geological instability, this world represents every possible environmental hazard we know. The radio signals must be automated systems, Plix added sadly. No living being could survive long enough on that surface to send distress calls manually. Whatever expedition landed there is certainly gone by now. Vexthu made his decision, marked the system as quarantined. Full Class 13 designation for the third planet. Include warnings about all environmental hazards in the database. No vessel should approach within 2 orbital distances of that world. Designation. Name for the system? Kervik asked, preparing his report. SOL 3847, Vexthu replied. And mark the third planet as Terra Death in the navigation warnings. The crew finished their scans efficiently. There was nothing more to learn from this system of death. The outer planets held no interest compared to the terrifying world they had discovered. Within hours, their report was compiled and transmitted. To the Galactic Survey Command, the Zethkalar turned away from the Sol system and continued its mission. Behind them, the blue world continued its orbit, beautiful and deadly. Marked forever in galactic records as one of the universe's most dangerous places. At Survey Command headquarters, the report joined thousands of others in the database. Bureaucrats filed it under extreme hazard warnings. Scientists added it to their list of worlds that proved how hostile the universe could be. Military planners marked it as a natural barrier that could never be crossed. The small blue planet became a legend of sorts. Young explorers were told about SOL 3847 during training as an example of why careful sensor analysis was crucial. The world that looked like paradise but was actually hell became a cautionary tale shared across the galaxy. Navigation computers automatically routed ships away from the system. Trade routes gave SOL 3847 a wide berth. Even the most experienced captains spoke of it in whispers, grateful they would never have to see the Deathworld with their own eyes. Meanwhile, far away on the third planet of the Sol system, 7 billion humans continued their daily lives, completely unaware that they had just been classified as the most impossible form of life in the known galaxy. Children played in parks under the deadly yellow sun. Families gathered for meals, breathing the lethal atmosphere. Workers built cities on the unstable ground, protected only by their own ingenuity and determination. Earth spun peacefully through space, labeled as a monument to death while hosting the most resilient species the universe had ever produced. 18 months had passed since the survey ship Zethkalar classified the Sol system as a forbidden zone. The galaxy had moved on to other discoveries, other worlds, other possibilities. The Class 13 Deathworld remained in the database as a warning to future explorers, a reminder of how cruel the universe could be, but deep in space, at Monitoring Station Omega-7, something unusual was happening. Vekvar sat at his communications console in the quiet hours of his shift. The Rillan operator had worked deep space monitoring for 12 years, listening to the endless chatter of space. Radio signals from distant civilizations, navigation beacons from cargo ships, emergency calls from vessels in distress. He knew the patterns of galactic communication like a musician knows scales. Tonight felt different. His equipment was picking up structured transmissions from the direction of the Sol system. At first, he thought his instruments were malfunctioning. Signals should be coming from that dead zone. The Class 13 world was supposed to be lifeless, nothing but automated distress beacons from some long-dead expedition. Deathworld adjusted his receivers and focused on the signal source. The transmissions were definitely coming from Sol 3847, from the third planet itself. But these were not simple distress calls. The signals were complex. They carried multiple frequencies layered with different types of information. Some appeared to be voice communications in various unknown languages. Others contained visual data, streams of images that moved in sequence. Still others carried pure mathematical information, organized in patterns that suggested advanced calculation. Systems. This cannot be right, Deathworld muttered to himself, checking his equipment again. Everything appeared to be functioning normally. The signals were real. He began recording everything, storing the transmissions for analysis. The more he listened, the more confused he became. If these were automated systems, they were far more sophisticated than anything in the galactic database. The variety and complexity suggested something impossible. They suggested intelligence. By the end of his shift, Deathworld had collected hours of transmissions. He forwarded everything to Dr. Yelena, the station's xenobiologist, with a priority flag attached to the data package. Dr. Yelena arrived at her laboratory early the next morning to find the transmission files waiting for her. The elderly scientist had spent most of her career studying alien life forms, but she had never encountered anything like this data. The transmissions showed clear signs of organization and purpose. The audio signals contained what appeared to be complex language structures with grammar, syntax, and emotional inflection. The visual signals showed moving images of landscapes, structures, and what looked like living creatures. Most shocking of all, the mathematical transmissions contained advanced concepts, calculations related to physics, chemistry, and engineering that rivaled the best galactic universities. Whoever was sending these signals understood the fundamental laws of the universe. Dr. Yelena spent 3 days analyzing the data before she reached an impossible conclusion. The signals were not coming from automated systems. They were coming from living beings. Intelligent living beings on the Class 13 Deathworld. She immediately contacted her supervisor, Dr. Meldith, the station commander. The conversation that followed would later be remembered as one of the most important in galactic history. You are telling me that there is intelligent life on a Class 13 world? Dr. Meldith asked, his voice filled with disbelief. The evidence is overwhelming, Doctor. Yelena replied, displaying her analysis on the main screen. These transmissions show linguistic complexity, cultural exchange, and advanced mathematical understanding. This is not some automated system, but the planet is lethal to all known life forms. The atmosphere alone would kill any species in our database within minutes. I know what the classification says, but listen to this. Dr. Yelena played a sample of the audio transmissions. This is clearly vocal communication. Multiple speakers, complex language patterns, emotional content. These are conversations, not random signals. Dr. Meldith studied the data with growing amazement. The implications were staggering. If intelligent life existed on a Class 13 world, it meant their understanding of what was possible in the universe was completely wrong. How many life forms are we talking about? He asked. Based on the transmission density and variety, I estimate millions, possibly billions of individual beings. The signals come from hundreds of different locations across the planet's surface. Billions? Dr. Meldith sat down heavily. Billions of intelligent beings living on a world that should kill them instantly? Dr. Yelena nodded grimly. And from what I can determine, they are not just surviving. They appear to be thriving. The mathematical transmissions suggest they have developed advanced technology. The cultural signals indicate complex societies with art, entertainment, and education. Word of the discovery spread quickly through the station. Within hours, every scientist at Omega 7 was studying the transmissions. Linguists worked to decode the languages. Physicists analyzed the mathematical data. Biologists tried to understand how life could exist in such conditions. The evidence kept mounting. The beings on the Deathworld had developed agriculture, engineering, and what appeared to be early space exploration technology. Some of the visual transmissions showed primitive but functional spacecraft launching from the planet's surface. "They are trying to leave their world," observed Dr. Kixith, the station's technology specialist. "These images show rocket-powered vehicles carrying the beings into orbit around their planet." "Of course they want to leave," Dr. Meldith replied. "They are trapped on a hellish world. They must be desperate to escape." But Dr. Yelenith was not convinced. The more she studied the transmissions, the more she realized these beings were not acting like desperate survivors. Their communications showed humor, joy, and curiosity. Their activities included what appeared to be recreational pursuits and artistic expression. "I think we are making an error in our assumptions," she announced during a staff meeting. "We keep thinking of this planet as a prison, but what if it is simply home to these beings?" "Impossible," Dr. Meldith protested. "No life could evolve in such conditions." "Yet here is the proof," Dr. Yelenith replied, gesturing to screens full of transmission data. "These beings are not acting like victims of their environment. They are acting like a successful civilization." The debate continued for days. Some scientists insisted the readings must be false, perhaps generated by some unknown natural phenomenon. Others suggested the beings might be using advanced technology to protect themselves from their hostile environment, but Dr. Yelenith had begun to suspect something even more extraordinary. What if these beings had not just adapted to their deadly world? What if they had evolved because of it? The decision was made to contact the Galactic Council immediately. This discovery was too important to keep within one monitoring station. If intelligent life could exist on a Class 13 world, it challenged everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. Dr. Meldith composed the report himself, knowing that it would cause massive disruption throughout galactic science and politics. The message was simple but revolutionary. The Class 13 Deathworld designated SOL 3847 was inhabited by billions of intelligent beings who appeared to have developed advanced civilization. The transmission was sent with the highest priority codes. Within hours, it reached the central hub of galactic government. Within days, emergency sessions were being called. Scientists, military leaders, and politicians all struggled to understand the implications. Meanwhile, at monitoring station Omega 7, the staff continued to study the impossible signals from the impossible world. Each new transmission added to their amazement and confusion. Dr. Yelenith had requested permission to send a stealth observation probe to the system. The proposal was working its way through galactic bureaucracy, but she already knew it would be approved. The universe had just become a much stranger and more wonderful place. On Earth, humans continued their daily lives, unaware that their television broadcasts, radio programs, and internet communications were being analyzed by confused alien scientists. Children went to school under the deadly sun. Adults worked in the poisonous atmosphere. Families gathered for meals, breathing the explosive oxygen mixture that would kill most galactic species. The impossible had become routine, and the galaxy was about to learn that life would always find a way to surprise them. 3 months after the impossible discovery at monitoring station Omega 7, the stealth probe Observer Prime approached the Sol system. The small vessel carried the most advanced scanning equipment the galaxy had ever produced. Its mission was simple but dangerous: get close enough to the Class 1-3 Deathworld to confirm what the radio signals suggested. Dr. Collins monitored the probe's progress from the Galactic Science Council headquarters on Zentara Prime. The elderly evolutionary biologist had spent her entire career studying how life adapted to different environments. Nothing in her experience had prepared her for what the probe might discover. Observer Prime has reached the outer edge of the Sol system, reported Technician Wixel from the control station. All systems are functioning normally. No signs of detection by the planet's inhabitants. Begin long-range scanning, Dr. Kolinth ordered. I want detailed biological readings before we get any closer. The probe's sensors focused on the third planet from the yellow star. The initial readings confirmed everything from the original survey. The world was absolutely lethal by every galactic standard, but now they knew something lived there. Visual confirmation of the life forms, Wixel announced, his voice filled with amazement. I am detecting billions of individual organisms across the planet's surface. The main viewing screen lit up with images from the probe's cameras. Dr. Kolinth leaned forward in her chair, studying the impossible sight. The planet's surface was covered with structures clearly built by intelligent beings. Cities stretched across vast areas connected by networks of roads and pathways. Focus on individual life forms, she requested. I need to see what these creatures look like. The probe's cameras zoomed in on various locations. The beings were bipedal, roughly 2 meters tall, with 4 limbs and what appeared to be sophisticated tool use. They moved around their cities and countryside with no apparent protection from their deadly environment. They are breathing the toxic atmosphere directly, Wixel observed with shock. No breathing apparatus, no protective suits. They are exposed to the poisonous gases. Dr. Kolinth watched in fascination as groups of the beings moved through their urban areas. They appeared calm and comfortable, showing no signs of distress from their lethal surroundings. Scan their recreational areas, she instructed. I want to understand their behavior patterns. What Observer Prime discovered next challenged every assumption about survival and intelligence in the galaxy. The beings were not just enduring their harsh world. They were enjoying it. The probe captured footage of humans lying motionless under the deadly solar radiation, their skin exposed to the burning rays. Some appeared to be sleeping in the radiation, while others applied liquids to their bodies that seemed designed to increase their exposure to the harmful energy. They are deliberately exposing themselves to lethal radiation levels, Wixel reported, his voice barely a whisper. They appear to be doing this for pleasure. Document everything, Dr. Kolinth replied, though she could hardly believe what she was seeing. The Council will never believe this without complete evidence. The probe observed humans engaging in activities that would be considered extreme torture by galactic standards. Some of the beings were submerging themselves completely in vast bodies of the corrosive dihydrogen monoxide that covered much of the planet's surface. They moved through the liquid using only their natural limbs, staying underwater for extended periods. They are swimming in industrial solvent, Wixel observed, without protection. They appear to be enjoying the experience. Other humans were observed climbing vertical rock formations using nothing but their bare hands and primitive equipment. They scaled heights that would terrify most galactic species, moving across surfaces that would cut through standard protective suits. Their physical capabilities are extraordinary, Dr. Kolinth noted, reviewing the biological scans. Their bone density is 3 times greater than any known intelligent species. Their muscle tissue shows incredible tensile strength. Their skin appears to be naturally resistant to radiation damage. The probe detected humans engaging in organized physical competitions that would kill most aliens through sheer exertion. Groups ran across vast distances in the crushing gravity, their bodies producing cooling liquids to regulate temperature. Others lifted heavy objects repeatedly, apparently for the purpose of strengthening their already impressive physiques. Look. At this, Wixel called attention to a new feed. They are consuming the planetary solvent in large quantities. Dr. Kolinth watched as humans drank water by the liter. The substance that would dissolve most organic compounds was being consumed as a basic necessity. Even more shocking, they were eating plant and animal matter that had grown in the toxic soil and poisonous atmosphere. Their digestive systems must be incredibly robust, she observed. They are processing materials that would be considered hazardous waste on most worlds. Observer Prime detected human children playing in conditions that would require emergency life support for adult members of most galactic species. The young ones ran around in the blazing solar radiation, breathed the explosive atmosphere without concern, and played games that involved deliberate physical contact and competition. The young are being exposed to the same conditions as the adults, Wixel reported. There appears to be no attempt to protect them from the environmental hazards. Because to them, these are not hazards, Dr. Kolinth realized. This is simply their normal environment. The probe's most shocking discovery came when it detected early human spacecraft leaving the planet's surface. Primitive chemical rockets were lifting off regularly, carrying humans into the vacuum of space in simple metal containers. They are attempting space exploration, Wixel noted. Using basic propulsion technology and minimal life support, Dr. Kolinth studied the spacecraft designs with growing concern. If these creatures mastered interstellar travel, what would they be capable of? Beings who considered a Class 13 Deathworld to be home might find the rest of the galaxy surprisingly comfortable. Analyze their social structure, she ordered. I need to understand how they organize themselves. Observer Prime detected complex social networks spanning the entire planet. The humans had developed global communication systems, international trade networks, and cooperative organizations that worked across vast distances. Despite living on a world that should promote only desperate survival, they had created art, literature, music, and scientific research. They have universities, Wixel reported in amazement, educational institutions where they study mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. They are conducting scientific research on their own world. What kind of research? Dr. Kolinth asked. They appear to be studying how to make their world more hospitable, Wixel replied. Agriculture, medicine, environmental management. They are actively working to improve their living conditions. Dr. Kolinth laughed despite herself. Beings living on the galaxy's most hostile world were working to make it better. They were not trying to escape their death world. They were trying to perfect it. The probe continued its observations for 2 weeks, gathering data that would reshape galactic understanding of life itself. The humans demonstrated capabilities that seemed impossible. They had redundant organ systems that provided backup functions if primary systems failed. Their immune systems fought off pathogens that would devastate other species. Their psychological profiles showed remarkable adaptability and problem-solving skills developed through constant environmental pressure. Prepare the full report, Dr. Kolinth finally ordered. The Council needs to see everything. What classification should we recommend for these beings? Wixel asked. Dr. Kolinth considered the question carefully. The humans were not just another intelligent species. They were something entirely new. They were survivors who had not just adapted to an impossible world, but had thrived because of it. Classify them as Class Alpha survival species, she decided, and recommend that we approach them with extreme caution. As Observer Prime began its journey back to galactic space, Dr. Kolinth reviewed the data one final time. The galaxy was about to learn that the universe's most dangerous world had produced its most remarkable inhabitants. The question now was what would happen when these incredible beings decided to explore beyond their deadly home. 2 years after Observer Prime completed its mission, humanity made first contact in the most unexpected way possible. They captured one of the galactic monitoring drones. Dr. Ryan Kelly stood in the command center of the newly constructed vessel, UES Horizon, studying the alien device his team had recovered from Earth orbit. The small probe had been watching Earth for months before a lucky solar flare disrupted its stealth systems long enough for human satellites to detect it. The technology is remarkable, reported Dr. Alex Rodriguez from his workstation. The linguistic expert had been analyzing the probe's data systems for weeks. The computing power alone is centuries ahead of our current capabilities. Commander Lisa Park paced around the recovered probe, her military training making her cautious about the implications. If they have technology this advanced, and they have been watching us, why haven't they made contact? Captain Jake Morrison looked up from his engineering analysis. Maybe they did not want to make contact. This thing was designed to spy on U.S. without being detected. Question is, why? Dr. Nina Walsh, the team's cultural expert, had been studying the probe's recorded data. I think they were afraid of us, she said quietly. Afraid of us? Commander Park laughed. We can barely get to our own moon reliably. What could we possibly do to scare an advanced civilization? That is exactly what we need to find out, Doctor. Kelly decided. We are going to visit them. The UES Horizon had been built using reverse-engineered technology from the probe, combined with human engineering. It was not as advanced as the alien vessel, but it was functional enough for interstellar travel. More importantly, it could carry a human crew safely beyond Earth's protective atmosphere. 3 months later, the Horizon approached the neutral meeting station Zephdara. The station had been hastily constructed when the galactic government learned that the beings from the Class 13 Deathworld were capable of space travel. It was designed to be a safe place for first contact, equipped with multiple life support systems and emergency protocols. What the galactic authorities had not prepared for was the effect that humans would have simply by existing in the same space as other species. The Horizon docked at Zephdara without incident. Dr. Kelly led the human delegation through the airlock, followed by Commander Park, Dr. Rodriguez, Captain Morrison, and Dr. Walsh. They wore simple environmental suits, more for diplomacy than protection. The station's atmosphere was actually quite comfortable for humans. Though it required emergency life support for most other species, the delegation's first stop was the medical bay, where they underwent standard health screenings required for all visitors. The results immediately caused chaos throughout the station. Dr. Vorthak, the station's chief medical officer, stared at his instruments in disbelief. These readings cannot be correct, he muttered. Running the scans again, the humans' vital signs were completely outside normal parameters for intelligent life. Their heart rates were too fast, their blood pressure too high, their body temperature too hot. Most shocking of all, their blood carried dangerous levels of iron and oxygen that would be toxic to other species. Is there a problem? Dr. Kelly asked, noticing the medical staff's obvious distress. Your blood, Dr. Vorthak stammered. It is red. Bright red. That coloration indicates massive cellular damage or poisoning. Captain Morrison rolled up his sleeve, showing a small cut he had received while working on the ship. You mean this? He asked, as drops of crimson blood appeared on his skin. The sight of freely flowing red blood sent 2 medical assistants fleeing from the room. Dr. Vorthak backed away in horror, reaching for emergency medical supplies. Please do not be alarmed, Dr. Rodriguez said quickly. This is normal for humans. Our blood contains iron-based compounds that give it this color. Iron-based blood? Dr. Vorthak whispered. That is impossible. Iron would cause immediate organ failure in any known species. Commander Park tried to help by explaining human physiology, but each detail made the medical team more frightened. Humans had redundant organs, reinforced skeletal structures, and immune systems, designed to fight off pathogens that would kill other species in minutes. The formal first contact meeting was held in the station's main conference chamber. Representatives from 12 different galactic species attended, all wearing maximum life support gear. The humans entered wearing only light environmental suits, looking completely comfortable in conditions that required emergency protocols for everyone else. Ambassador Teklin of the Galactic Council opened the proceedings. We welcome the delegation from the world you call Earth. We must admit, your existence has challenged many of our assumptions about life in the universe. Dr. Kelly stood to address the assembly. We are honored to meet with representatives of galactic civilization. We hope this can be the beginning of peaceful cooperation between our species. Before we continue, Ambassador Teklin said nervously, we must ask about your planet's classification. Our records indicate that your world is rated as Class 13, the most dangerous environment known to galactic science. How is it possible that you not only survive but thrive in such conditions? Dr. Walsh stepped forward to answer. We think there may be some misunderstanding about our world. Earth is not particularly dangerous to us. It is simply our home. Not dangerous? Spoke up Dr. Zileth, a xenobiologist from the Kethri delegation. Your atmosphere contains explosive levels of oxygen. Your gravity would crush most species. Your star bombards your surface with lethal radiation. These are normal conditions for us, Dr. Rodriguez explained. We evolved in this environment. Over millions of years. What seems dangerous to you is simply the world we know. Captain Morrison tried to demonstrate by removing his environmental helmet. The sight of a human breathing the station's atmosphere directly sent several delegates into panic. Emergency alarms began sounding as station security assumed there had been a catastrophic life support failure. Please, there is no emergency, Dr. Kelly called out over the alarms. Captain Morrison is fine. Humans can breathe this atmosphere without problems. The alarms were silenced, but the fear in the chamber remained. The delegates struggled to understand how beings could be so casual about conditions that would mean death for their own species. Dr. Walsh presented a cultural overview of human civilization, showing images and videos from Earth. The presentation was intended to demonstrate human art, science, and social development. Instead, it terrified the audience. The images showed human children playing in direct sunlight that would burn most aliens to death in seconds. Videos of humans swimming in oceans full of predatory creatures the size of small spacecraft. Footage of humans climbing mountains in conditions that would require full environmental suits for other species. You allow your young to be exposed to these hazards? Asked Dr. Plix, a Kethri scientist who had helped classify Earth originally. We do not see them as hazards, Dr. Walsh replied. These are normal activities for human development. Our children need exposure to sunlight, physical exercise, and natural environments to grow properly. The cultural presentation continued with examples of human entertainment and sports. The delegates watched in horror as humans deliberately threw themselves from great heights with only fabric wings for protection. Videos showed humans racing vehicles at deadly speeds, competing in physical contests that would hospitalize other species, and exploring underwater environments that would dissolve alien breathing apparatus. This appears to be a civilization built around constant mortal danger, observed Ambassador Tekelin. To us, it is just life, Commander Park replied. We enjoy challenges and physical activities. They make us stronger and healthier. The meeting continued for hours, with each revelation about human capabilities causing more shock among the galactic delegates. The humans tried to explain their perspective, but the cultural gap seemed impossible to bridge. Finally, Dr. Kelly made an invitation that would change everything. We would like to invite brave representatives from your civilizations to visit Earth, he announced. We understand our world seems dangerous to you, but we believe that seeing our civilization firsthand might help you understand us better. The chamber fell silent. The idea of actually visiting the Class 13 Deathworld was almost unthinkable. But as the delegates considered the impossible beings sitting before them, some began to realize that understanding these remarkable survivors might be worth the risk. 6 months after the first contact meeting, a small group of the galaxy's most courageous scientists approached Earth. Commander Vexthu stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the blue world grow larger on the viewscreen. The same planet he had classified as a Class 13 Deathworld now hosted a diplomatic mission that could change galactic history. I still cannot believe we are doing this, muttered Dr. Yeloneth from her station. The xenobiologist wore a full environmental suit with triple backup life support systems, flying directly into the most dangerous world in the galaxy. The humans assured us they have prepared a safe zone, replied Dr. Plix, though her voice carried obvious nervousness. The small Kethri scientist checked her protective gear for the 20th time that hour. Commander Vexthu activated the communication system. Human vessel UES Denver, this is the Galactic delegation. We are ready to begin approach procedures. Welcome to Earth, Commander Vexthu, came the reply from Dr. Susan Carter, Earth's newly appointed Director of Alien Relations. We have prepared landing coordinates in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. The area has been selected for your safety and comfort. The alien shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere with extreme caution. Every meter of altitude lost brought them deeper into the toxic environment that somehow supported billions of humans. The shuttle's sensors screamed warnings about atmospheric composition, radiation levels, and gravitational stress. Atmospheric entry complete, reported the pilot. All life support systems functioning at maximum. Environmental suits show green. Status. Through the viewports, the alien delegates got their first direct view of Earth's surface. The landscape was breathtaking and terrifying. Massive mountain ranges stretched to the horizon, covered with green vegetation that should not exist in such a hostile environment. Rivers of the corrosive liquid water carved through valleys, reflecting the deadly yellow sunlight. It is beautiful, Dr. Yulaneth admitted quietly. I did not expect a Deathworld to be so alive. The shuttle landed at a specially prepared facility in the Rocky Mountain National Park. Dr. Carter and her team waited outside the landing area, wearing only light clothing and breathing the toxic atmosphere directly. Colonel Ben Hayes stood beside her, along with Dr. Amanda Price, the team's environmental specialist. Remember, Dr. Carter spoke into her communication device, our guests will be wearing full life support. Their equipment is much more sensitive than our bodies. Please move slowly and avoid any sudden actions. The alien delegation emerged from their shuttle wearing environmental suits that looked like they were designed for exploring the inside of a star. Multiple layers of protection, redundant life support systems, and radiation shielding made them appear like walking tanks compared to the humans in their simple clothes. Welcome to Earth, Dr. Carter said warmly, speaking through the communication link to the alien suits. We are honored to have you visit our world. Commander Vexthu studied the humans through his helmet's protective visor. They stood casually in conditions that required maximum protection for his team. The deadly solar radiation that his suit deflected was warming their skin. The poisonous atmosphere that his life support filtered was filling their lungs with each breath. Your world is more hostile than our sensors indicated, he observed. How are you surviving without protection? Dr. Price smiled and gestured to the mountain landscape around them. This is actually a very pleasant day for us. Temperature is comfortable, humidity is low, and there is a nice breeze. Perfect weather for hiking. Hiking? Dr. Plix asked through her suit's communication system. Walking through natural areas for exercise and enjoyment, Colonel Hayes explained. Would you like to see some of our local wildlife? Before the aliens could protest, a golden retriever came running across the field toward them. The sight of the large, four-legged creature moving at high speed sent the alien delegation into panic mode. Their suits' threat detection systems activated, warning of an approaching dangerous life form. Please do not be alarmed, Dr. Carter said quickly. This is Max. He belongs to one of our park rangers. He is completely harmless. The dog arrived and began sniffing around the alien suits with friendly curiosity. To the delegation, Max appeared to be a predatory beast the size of a small vehicle, equipped with sharp teeth and powerful muscles. The fact that humans kept such creatures as companions was deeply disturbing. You domesticate the predators on your world? Dr. Yulaneth asked in amazement. Max is not a predator, laughed Dr. Price. He is a companion animal, very gentle and friendly. He enjoys playing with human children. The demonstration continued as local resident Mike Johnson arrived to show the delegation some basic human activities. Mike was a mountain guide who had volunteered to help with the cultural exchange. He wore shorts, a light shirt, and hiking boots, nothing more. I understand you want to see how we live on Earth, Mike said cheerfully. I thought I might show you some of our outdoor activities. Mike proceeded to demonstrate rock climbing on a nearby cliff face. The aliens watched in horror as he scaled the vertical rock wall using only his hands and feet, with minimal safety equipment. What appeared to be casual recreation to Mike looked like an elaborate suicide attempt to the observers. "He is deliberately placing himself in mortal danger," Commander Vexthu observed. "Not really," Dr. Carter explained. "Mike has been climbing for 20 years. This is a relatively easy route for someone with his experience." "Easy?" Dr. Plix squeaked. "He is hanging from a vertical surface by his fingertips, 50 meters above the ground." "The view is great from up here," Mike called down to them. "You should try it sometime." The suggestion that they might voluntarily engage in such an activity sent the delegation into another round of equipment checks and safety protocols. Dr. Amanda Price began explaining Earth's ecosystem to the visitors. She pointed out various plants and animals that called the Rocky Mountains home. Each example added to the aliens' amazement and fear. "Those are elk," she said, indicating a herd of large mammals grazing in a distant meadow. "They can weigh up to 300 kilograms. During mating season, the males fight each other with their antlers." "And humans share this environment with such dangerous creatures?" Dr. Yeleneth asked. "We have learned to coexist," Dr. Price replied. "Most wildlife avoids humans, and we respect their habitat. It is actually quite peaceful most of the time." Teacher Grace Thompson arrived with a group of local children who had come to meet the alien visitors. The sight of young humans playing in the deadly environment without any protection was the most shocking thing the delegation had witnessed yet. "These are some of our local students," Grace explained as the children waved at the heavily suited aliens. "They wanted to welcome you to Earth." The children ranged in age from 6 to 12 years old. They ran around in the blazing solar radiation, breathed the toxic atmosphere, and showed no signs of distress from the crushing gravity that was making the aliens' equipment work overtime. "The young ones have no protection," Dr. Plix observed. "In horror, they do not need protection," Grace replied. "This is their natural environment. They are perfectly safe here." One of the children, an 8-year-old girl named Emma, approached the aliens group. "Are you really from another planet?" she asked with excitement. "Do you have kids on your world too?" The innocent question from a child who was casually surviving in conditions that would kill adult aliens instantly struck Dr. Yeleneth like a revelation. These beings were not monsters or impossible survivors. They were simply life forms perfectly adapted to their environment. Park Ranger Kevin Davis arrived to explain Earth's conservation efforts. "We work hard to protect our natural environment," he said. "This planet supports millions of different species, and we want to keep it healthy for future generations." "You actively preserve your dangerous world?" Commander Vexthu asked. "Earth is not dangerous to us," Kevin replied. "It is our home. We love this world and everything that lives on it." As the day continued, the alien delegation began to understand something fundamental about humanity. Earth had not produced monsters or impossible beings. It had produced the galaxy's ultimate survivors. Humans were not just adapted to their world, they were the perfect ambassadors for life itself. Dr. Yeleneth removed her helmet briefly to test the atmosphere. The action terrified her companions, but she survived the few seconds of exposure to Earth's environment. "We have been thinking about this completely wrong," she announced. "We classified Earth as a deathworld because it would kill us, but for humans, this is paradise." The delegation spent 3 more days on Earth, each day bringing new revelations about human capabilities and resilience. They observed families having picnics in the deadly sunlight, watched athletes competing in the crushing gravity, and marveled at humans swimming in the corrosive oceans. When it came time to leave, Commander Vexthu addressed Dr. Carter directly. "We owe your species an apology. We labeled your world as impossible for life, when in reality it has produced the most remarkable life forms we have ever encountered." "We prefer to think of ourselves as adaptable," Dr. Carter replied with a smile. The alien delegation returned to galactic space with a complete report that would revolutionize how the galaxy understood life, survival, and the possibilities of evolution.